A man carries burdens. Some are visible, the demands of work, the needs of family. But the heaviest weights are often unseen, unheard. They are the unspoken truths, the internal compromises, the realities too difficult to voice. Most men are taught to suppress these, to present a stoic facade. But this suppression is a slow internal erosion. It is a chipping away at the very foundation of his being. The societal narrative demands a man be unshakable, a pillar of strength. We are told to keep our heads down, do the work, and not complain. This often translates into an internal directive. Do not feel, do not acknowledge, do not speak the difficult truths that churn within. Consider the soldier returning from conflict, carrying the indelible memories of what he witnessed, the choices he was forced to make. He may speak of the physical scars, but the invisible wounds, the moral ambiguities, the profound sense of loss, these often remain locked away. He fears judgment, misunderstanding, or perhaps simply the overwhelming weight of articulating the unspeakable. This is a common plight, not confined to the battlefield. It is the entrepreneur who built his empire on a foundation of ruthless decisions, suppressing the guilt. It is the father who projects an image of control, while privately wrestling with profound doubt about his adequacy. It is the man in a marriage who knows the truth of his growing distance, but cannot bear to speak the words that might shatter the fragile peace. This is the essence of the unspoken truth, a reality that resides within, but is denied outward expression. It is the inner dialogue that contradicts the outer persona. It is the awareness of a deep personal failing, a regret too potent to confront, or a desire too unconventional to admit. The Stoics understood this internal battle. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is more than mere positive thinking. It is a call to examine the very nature of what we allow to take root in our minds, and what we choose to acknowledge or deny. Unspoken truths are like poison seeped into the subconscious, poisoning the quality of thought, and by extension, the quality of life. When these truths are left unacknowledged, they do not disappear. They fester. They manifest as a gnawing anxiety, a pervasive cynicism, or a sudden, inexplicable rage. A man might find himself irritable, prone to substance abuse, or withdrawing into isolation, not because of external pressures alone, but because the internal pressure has become unbearable. He is carrying a silent, invisible load that is slowly, methodically breaking him down. This is the opposite of strength. This is the performance of strength, masking a profound internal fragmentation. There comes a point for every man where the dam must break, or the silence must be strategically managed. The pressure of the unspoken truth begins to warp perception. Small annoyances become monumental obstacles. Relationships fray not from overt conflict, but from a growing, palpable distance created by what is deliberately omitted. The man himself begins to feel like a stranger in his own life, his actions dictated by the need to maintain a false narrative, rather than by genuine conviction or desire. What is the consequence of this prolonged internal war? It is the loss of authentic selfhood. When a man consistently denies his own truth, he loses touch with who he truly is. His decisions become reactive, driven by the need to avoid exposure rather than by conscious choice. His purpose becomes diluted, his passion extinguished by the sheer effort of maintaining the facade. He becomes brittle, prone to shattering under any significant pressure, because his internal structure is compromised by denial. This is the quiet tragedy playing out in countless lives. This denial is a form of self-deception, an attempt to control an uncontrollable reality. But the mind is not so easily fooled. The repressed truth seeks an outlet, often in destructive ways. It is the sudden, explosive outburst at a loved one, the impulsive, career-ending decision, the descent into despair that seems to come from nowhere. These are not random acts of chaos. They are the symptoms of a system under immense strain, a soul crying out under the weight of its own silence. The Stoic path, conversely, is one of radical honesty with oneself, even when that honesty is painful. Consider the great philosophers who grappled with the human condition. Schopenhauer spoke of the will, the ceaseless striving that often leads to suffering. Much of this suffering arises from our internal conflicts, the gap between what we desire and what we feel permitted to pursue, the truths we recognize but refuse to accept. He would understand the torment of a man living a lie, even a lie he tells himself. This internal dissonance is a primary source of existential pain. The Stoic ideal is not to eliminate feeling, but to understand it, to process it, and to act with reason, even in the face of uncomfortable realities. How does a man begin to dismantle this internal edifice of denial? It starts with a single difficult acknowledgement. It begins with the courage to look inward, not to condemn, but to understand. It requires the discipline to sit with discomfort, to trace the origins of the unspoken truth, and to understand its roots. Is it fear of rejection? Fear of failure? Fear of change? Identifying the root cause is the first step towards addressing it. This is not about purging every private thought. Wisdom lies in discernment. There is a difference between a private internal truth that guides personal integrity and a concealed reality that actively harms oneself or others through its suppression. The former builds strength. The latter erodes it. The true test of a man's character is not his ability to hide his struggles, but his willingness to confront them, to integrate them, and to emerge from the ordeal with greater wisdom and authenticity. This requires immense courage and a commitment to self-mastery that transcends mere performance. The modern world offers many distractions, many ways to numb the discomfort of these internal realities. But true growth, true strength, comes from facing what is difficult. It is in the crucible of acknowledged truth, however painful, that a man forges his most resilient self. The weight of unspoken truths is the greatest threat to a man's stability, but the conscious, deliberate act of confronting them is the ultimate source of his enduring power. It is the quiet, internal victory that allows him to stand firm against any external storm. The facade crumbles, but the man built on truth remains unshakable. The unseen burdens are the ones that truly break a man. The truths we refuse to acknowledge, the realities we push down, are the silent architects of our downfall. But within the quiet acceptance of what is, lies the genesis of unshakable strength. The courage to speak one's truth internally is the first step to a life unburdened by its own hidden weight.